Hello, everybody. John Henderson Pierre back again. Another beer ramble, and tonight we're looking at Steel Reserve 211. But this is not any Steel Reserve. This is the 6%. As you can see, 6%. My friend says, label out, label out. Brewer came out in 1998. Of course, everyone knows the high gravity version of this. Um, it has been vilified by everybody, beer advocate and rate beer. The Alston brothers give it a good score, or the Alston brothers, the Bros. Um, but that's the high gravity version. So this is the 6% version, which is, I guess, similar to right on the same line, maybe right up there with Colt 45 or Mickey's fine malt liquor, or what's the other? Old English, King Cobra. Those are not high, the high gravity, but kind of in that same vein. But got this in Louisiana. I was hanging out with my good friend Mr. Terrio. Can show the 6%, everybody. There it is. Um, Made the trip down there. Surprised I made my Toyota Camry actually made it. And I was kind of surprised because I thought it was something was going to happen. But I had belief that I would make it down there safe. I believe. Anyway, I have to be a little silly right now. Life is short, folks. You got to live. You got to laugh. Can't be everything seriously. Some people may not get my humor, but oh fucking well. Quirky. Here's what the beer looks like. As I mentioned, Louisiana, Arkansas, Vermont, Tennessee are the only states that sell the 6%. I believe Utah is the only state because of the state accordance. They sell this at 3%, which I guess it goes by weight. I don't know, but 3% for a extra strong beer is a little. And I think also Minnesota as well sells it at 3% or 3.2%. Anyway, this is my first time having the 6% version of this. Everyone knows about the 8% is kind of which is sold everywhere. Um, so everywhere in the great land that is the United States. As you see what the beer looks like, your standard lager look. Had this in the freezer, which most of these extra strong beers you have to have it in the freezer. Seriously, I mean, even at 6%, don't want to drink it at room temperature, or maybe it's you bought it from the store and 20 minutes later, you're popping the can open after doing something and say, hey, all right, I'm ready for a cold one, and realize, like, this is not good. Anyway, the 8%, you really get fucked up on that one. As you see what it looks like, standard lager look, very yellow on the bottom. Very clear. Some fuzz, nice little head up top. Onto the scent. It still has the same scent as your high gravity or extra strong beers. A lot of corn, really strong amount of sugar. This beer was introduced in 1998. I think in my last one I did the 8.1% version. I said 2001, but I think that's the time when we finally got it. I know when I first time I had that, that was up in up in Jersey, and it was the first time. Yeah, about 2000, and I thought this was, I've had all the previous others when I became of legal drinking age. And I was like, wow, this is woozy, and then that's kind of how I felt about it then. And I stopped drinking that style, most of those high gravity beers at that time. What the hell was that? Hold on, folks. Strange things I'm hearing this evening. Can't get a lot of sugar, a lot of corn sent to this. Very strong. So down hatch. It doesn't have that extra sweet, that sweetness. It's sweet, but not overly, not sweet. As I say, I mean, I'll take that back. It's not. It's you smell the sweetness of this, but you don't get it. It's not overly. I mean, well, let's put it this way: the alcohol kind of brings out the sugar, the 8%. This, it's not much there in this. Actually, this is quite pleasant, really. Yeah, it's quite pleasant. I can see why Jay, um, my good friend, Mr. Ronald J. Terrier, who I ran into down there, we met up and bought me. And I said I was going to try to get a can of the 6% because I never had it, and I'm glad I did. I should have bought more. I know he tends to buy that if see a lot of his videos or some of his postings on Facebook, or see his videos on YouTube or some of his postings on Facebook. He'll from time to time will get the 4 pack of Steel, the 6%, and also Jeff Wines, New England Beer Reviews. He's also purchased this, and he's a fan of it. He lives in New Hampshire, but New Hampshire and Vermont, like right up the road. So, hour down the road, or however the state is. Vermont's up, New Hampshire's down, or New Hampshire's up, Vermont's down, whatever. Anyway, that's where they sell it, and even he has praised it. And you know what? I'm starting to get that same view of this. I think this is very pleasant, more so than the 8%. Very crisp, very enjoyable. This is not this is not a terrible beer at all, folks. I mean, you know, um, of course, people have always had a negative view of high gravity beers. I mean, they look at the people who drink it, you know, whether see a person of color like me, or anyone who say viewed as maybe white trash or whatever, as drinking this, will say, well, that's their target group right there. um, and because it's cheap, it's inexpensive, and maybe so, but again, Miller, who the Steel Brewing Company is just a name. It's not really, Miller owns the company. um, Mackenzie Corporation actually started it and then moved in, bought it. Miller bought the company, and out in California, and of course now Miller owns Steel. Um, Also, they also own Old English as well. Um, the Triple Export, which is also a very enjoyable beer, and that's 8%. And some say it's similar, but to the 8% of Steel, but excuse me. But the demographics of people who've bought this over the years, low class trash, compared to what it was back then when extra strong beers came out. It was viewed as a luxury beer, a sort of a beer with the wedge, with the lemon. You're at the country club drinking this, the well-to-do. Um, because there were laws back then where you couldn't drink, the alcohol laws, so you had to have a beer at a certain level, a certain ABV. Couldn't be extra strong. Now, I've had this debate, if you've seen some of my other videos, um, that that this was kind of the beginning or the foundation of the craft beer movement because people wanted more flavor, more extra strength in their beers, not just the usual, stuff that they drink now. Some of it's 4%, between 3 or 4%, whatever, and that's it. They don't want to really try something different. Then the extra strong beers came out at that time in the 50s. Schlitz, Country Club, you know, um, others that came on and they realized who their demographic was and that they needed to change it to reach another group of people, maybe African Americans, those maybe in the middle class, demographic. And they did, um, as we get into, and it was very successful. The Schlitz line to the Old English to the King Cobra, going from the 70s into the 80s. Colt 45, of course, well known. Uh, and then in the 90s, it continued. Many the rappers you had were promoting this, and there was a lot of pullback, a lot of resentment from those within the civil rights community that this was poisoning the community, causing violence, causing heartache and horror to the community, and then of course the other demographic of people, again as I mentioned, the lower class of society, the trailer park person or the one with the buck tooth, whatever, and he's drinking this, the bum on the street, whatever, who's homeless or born living in the project. That's been the stereotype. But recently, for me personally, I've seen a lot of folks who have money, well-to-do, whether it be white, Hispanic, um, even when I went home to Jersey, even down here in Alabama, I've seen those who have bought it and who sample and bought some of these beers, whether it be the Hurricane, Steel, even the Mickeys, find it very enjoyable. I've done reviews with several of the guys on this, whether it be on YouTube or wherever, who've take pleasure in buying and having this as a standby beer, at home. My good friend John Sharon, he's done several videos. And a lot of people have taken the task for that, but he's done several videos of this style of beer, and I've never really took any issue with it. I don't know why. I just think that we're just some folks can be a bit snobbish when it comes to things like this. Well, I don't drink that. That's just, I don't. This is not my thing. I don't drink trash. I mean, come on, folks. It's beer. Beer should be enjoyed by everyone, no matter what your social or your economic status is. I've always felt that. Um, and of course, these beers have won several, and I mean several awards in many categories, which I'm sure will shock a lot of people, but they have. And I think these folks tend to, several, who sampled and tried several beers all over the world, whether it be at the Great American Beer Festival, World Beer Cup, all these different international beer festivals, wherever, have said, this is pretty good. And if they know it, I would take their word for it over what some snob will say. You drink that crap. What are you, a bum? You're homeless. Like, leave me alone. Anyway, back to this, and I don't want to go on right now, but Steel 6%, very enjoyable. Show that 6%. Yes, folks, 6%. Very enjoyable, very well made. Miller doesn't put crap together. None of the BMC is going to put crap and say, here, sell it. No. Those are the other companies that are going to give you the trash, like the Camos of the world or whatever, Dog Bite or whatever, This is a very, very enjoyable beer at 6%. And I could see if we won't get this here in Alabama. Trust me, we will not. We'll only get the 8%. Um, but this at 6% is quite good. I think right up there with King Cobra. You know, this isn't bad at all. So I'm gonna give this a B. I'm gonna give this a B. So that would be like an 8.5, 8 or 8 score. I guess prefer B. I think this is what the Olsen brothers had put out, which is I think 83 was the score on the Beer Advocate page for Still Reserve, and that's the high gravity, but um, or maybe all for different versions. But for this, I'm gonna say a B for me. So this is going to be an 8. So if you agree with me on Steel, the 6% deserves a B score or not, leave your comments on the bottom. Johnny the Superior, the Beer Rambleton. To keep on watching, and as always, cheers.